Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to Aberdeen once again, and this is a beer that I've wanted to review for quite some time actually. So we're going to return to Fierce Beer, who are from Dyce, just to the north of the city, and we're having a taste of their Cafe Racer today. So this one comes in at 6.5%, it's a porter, a coffee and vanilla porter to be exact, and it's very highly rated, this one. This is one of their kind of core range beers if you like, but I've just never gotten around to actually reviewing this one for you. I may well have had a taste of it back in the early days of Fierce, because they've been going for a good few years now, but as far as I can remember, I don't think I've tried this one, and I'll take this pretty much as a first taste of the beer. But definitely looking forward to it. Very highly rated beer, 96 overall on Rate Beer, 98 within the style, and it was well into the 4s when I checked it out on Untappd as well. But these guys, this is a brewery that I think shine particularly when it comes to making porters and stouts and things like that. So definitely looking forward to it, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Fierce before. No doubt I will add some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, county, state, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Scottish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Fierce Beer then. So as I've mentioned to you before, Fierce Beer are based in Dyce in Aberdeen, just next to the airport actually, and they began life as the home brewing experiments of David Grant, who'd worked for many years in the oil industry, and he'd been home brewing since March of 2013, and after hosting a beer and a food pairing dinner at his house back in May 2015, his beer received really rave reviews, and this was when he decided to turn professional. So David's joined at the brewery by Dave McGarry, who also worked in the oil industry for a number of years, but he used his redundancy package to put himself on a brewing course at Brewlab down in Sunderland in the northeast of England, and in April 2016 they moved into their brewery in the Kirkhill industrial estate in Dyce to the northwest of Aberdeen, and at the moment they can brew around 800,000 litres of beer per year. They started canning their beers in early 2018, and they now have their own bar on Ship Row in Aberdeen, which is called the Fierce Bar. This was actually where I bought this beer, and they're hoping to move their brewery apparently to a more central location in the city to have like a big brewery and a restaurant type business. So hopefully they can find somewhere to do that. There's a couple of sites I can think of, but it would be a case. Probably in Aberdeen there's a lot of paperwork and things like that to go through. But Fierce Beer, they've kind of filled the gap that Brewdog have left, to be honest. Brewdog of course have gone on and become a big sort of corporate entity if you like, but Fierce Beer are really kind of sticking to the kind of small sort of craft brewing sort of thing, which is good to see, because that's something that Aberdeen really needs, because it is a city that now has quite a strong craft brewing heritage. I mean, you've got these guys who are from just up the road in Dyce, you've got you know 6 Degrees North, who have their bar in Aberdeen as well, and they're from just down the road in Stonehaven. So Aberdeen is a pretty good beer city these days, I would say. But yeah, really interesting brewery. If you want to learn a little bit more, check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and things, and do make sure you go and check out the Fierce Bar in the city as well. It's really nice. It's just next to the View Cinema of course. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. So like I said to you, this one is a 6.5% porter. I do like the artwork on this one. These kind of newspaper clipping style artworks that you get on the Fierce beers are ones that I always find quite funny. Just look at that shark going off his nut. Looks like he's had a bit of cocaine or something like that. But yeah, I think that's quite funny. But yeah, so with this one it says on the side here, Cafe Racer is a dark roasted coffee and vanilla porter with a hint of danger, a nod to the speed crazed bikers who risk life and limb to race from one greasy spoon cafe to the next. One sip and you will understand why this beer was voted the #1 at the Scottish Beer Awards in 2017. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with this. So let me just see if I can actually get it open. There we are. Nice little bit of smoke on the opening, and we'll get it out and into the glass. There we are. Look at how dark this guy is. Yeah, I never pointed that out. There's the Fierce Beer symbol, this one, that little hop, that little kind of mad hop flower there. I do like that as well. That's one of the things I really like about these Fierce beers. But as you can see, and as you would expect from the porter, it's poured a really nice, dark, ebony kind of rosewood colour. There's a solid 2 fingers of a dark beige head on this one. Well, not beige, it's probably more of a tan colour actually, that one, and that's going to fade away because you can see the sides of it there are fairly bumpy, but it is just kind of fading away to be very thin and kind of foamy. So there's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, you know, it looks really, really nice, and pretty much as you would expect from the porter. As you open the beer up, of course, you could smell a little bit of that coffee and a bit of chocolate kind of coming out of it as well. But let's take a closer look then and just see how we get on with this beer. Oh, yeah, straight away, coffee jumps out at you with this one. The coffee, I think, I'm no expert on coffee because I don't really drink it that much, but I can appreciate, like, you know, I can appreciate the smell of the beans, and you know, if it's a good coffee, you really can kind of tell the difference between that and a sort of shitty coffee, if you like. But for me, the coffee beans in this one smell quite nice. It's got the coffee. It's a nice kind of roasty, earthy coffee. I think it is, but I think it's got just a little bit of a kind of floral thing to it as well. And that's just within that kind of coffee aroma. You can smell the nice vanilla pop coming around it as well. But the vanilla gives the beer, it gives the beer a little bit of that sweetness. But yeah, the coffee for me, I really think it's sort of earthy, toasted, and a little touch kind of aromatic. No expert on coffee right enough, so those either are a bit better versed in coffee drinking can probably comment on that in the comment section below a little bit. But yeah, the vanilla's in there. There's a little bit of that. There's a little touch of the roasty black malt coming out. I think there's a wee bit of a slightly milky chocolate to this one. But then again, the vanilla could be given the impression of it being a milky chocolate. It could just be a kind of straight up cocoa or something like that that's in this, or chocolate malt. But for me, the chocolate comes across as quite milky, but it's kind of infused with that sort of vanilla note. There's maybe a wee touch of a kind of nutty quality to this beer as well, so just pay attention to that. Bit of an earthy hop in there as well, which is nice. Yeah, a little touch of earthy hop, and there's maybe a wee hint of a kind of red fruity note. I would say a sort of just very slightly figgy, but it has a little touch of a kind of raisin sharpness too. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one. I mean, as you would expect with a porter, it's leaning towards the kind of maltier, notes, if you like, although it's coffee beans that's been put in that, so you can't really count that as malt, I would say. But that coffee note that's in the beer has a nice bit of complexity, and the vanilla and the other things that are in the malt base there really make it smell quite nice. So just take a bit of time and enjoy that before you actually have a taste of the beer itself. So let's have a go at it now. So this one is the Cafe Racer 6.5% porter, a coffee and vanilla porter to be precise, from Fierce Beer in Dyce, just outside of Aberdeen. One of their beers that's very highly rated, and I'm glad that I'm finally able to review it for you. So let's get stuck into this one then. Slàinte, skål. Fair play to Fierce Beer. Yeah, fair play to them for this. This is a really, you know, it's really well done. You can see that straight away. I mean, they said, take one sip of this beer and you'll understand why it won awards, and, you know, they're right. They are right with this beer. And I will say, the porter's not one of my more favourite styles, if you like, but that is, you know, you can tell that's a top quality beer. Well done to them for it. You know, it's really nicely done. This is one of these ones where it's all about how the kind of flavours go together. And you know, if this is you know, as I said, I really can't remember if I had a taste of this beer at the time. But you know, this is one of their kind of flagship beers, and it goes back to the kind of early days of when Fierce Beer first started. I'm a bit disappointed in myself that I didn't really have I didn't sort of make a bit of a bigger deal about this beer. I think when this beer would have come out, I was just moving over to Sweden at that time. So I'm a bit disappointed that I wasn't able to, you know, have this beer and make a review of it back then, because it is, you know, it's really good. If you like a porter beer, have a go at this one. This is really nice. So yeah, with this beer then, it's pretty straight up. It's one of these beers, it kind of doesn't do anything that's really unexpected with the style, if you like, but it does everything really well. I think that's a good way to sort of describe what this beer's kind of doing. It's got quite a creamy mouthfeel to it. It's almost got a little bit of that kind of milky quality to it, which is quite interesting. So with this one, in the malt base, you can pick out that there is a little bit of a black malt to this one, which is what you'd expect with the style. On top of that, you can feel the nice sort of chocolatey notes just kind of sitting there. In the middle of the palate, you can feel the coffee beans. It's got that nice coffee bean smoothness to it, just kind of sitting there. And as the flavour evolves a little bit more, that's when the vanilla kind of starts to come out of the beer, and it makes that chocolate kind of almost taste a little bit milky, if that makes sense. It makes it almost like a kind of milk chocolate flavour that comes out of the beer. But it's nicely done, this. It's, as I say, it doesn't do anything that's unexpected of the porter, but it just does everything really quite well, I would say. But yeah, it's nicely done. I like how everything goes together in this beer. It's got a lovely, big, smooth mouthfeel to it. As you're going to go towards the front of the tongue a little bit, I would say it's maybe got a little bit of a nutty flavour to it. I want to say hazelnut. I think there's a little touch of an almost hazelnutty flavour to this one there. Or it's not, it could be almonds as well. I don't eat nuts all that often, so I'm not too well versed in the flavours of them. But I want, hazelnut is the one that kind of springs to mind in this one. It definitely has a little bit of that nutty quality just towards the front of the palate there as well. So pay attention to that. Back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of a kind of earthy, hoppy quality there. There is a little bit of bitterness there, but as you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, it just smooths out really nicely. There's maybe a little touch of a floral quality at the front corners of the palate, but then as you go round the very front curve of the tongue, it's just lighter and grassy. And as you go behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that little oily bubble where you get some kind of juicy, fruity esters out of the beer. This one isn't too fruity, and that's what you would expect from the porter, of course. So yeah, it's pretty much as you would kind of expect when it comes to the fruity side of things. It's just got a little touch of a kind of just a little bit of an almost figgy flavour. It's just got a little bit of that kind of figgy smoothness there. Maybe a little bit of our kind of red candied fruit. That kind of lingers there into the aftertaste. Some of that earthy hop lingers into the aftertaste as well, and some of the coffee beans are there. And as the flavour evolves a little bit more, you start to get the vanilla side of the beer out as well. But the earthy hop and the coffee, they build a really good bridge with each other. That's one of the things that really kind of holds the beer together, if that makes sense. But it's in terms of a porter, it really is pretty damn good, I have to say. As I said at the start, when they say you can see why it won the awards at the Scottish Beer Awards, you really can. You actually can see that with this beer. When I think of the other porters that I've had from Scotland, it's definitely up there. It'll be one of the best porters that's being produced in the country. I mean, this is fierce beer. When it comes to their dark beers, I've found that they really seem to have a good knack at that. I need to try a few more IPAs and things from them, right enough. And they've played a lot. They seem to have been playing a lot with sour beers, but I really think fierce beer have quite a knack for the dark beers. It'd be nice to see them doing a couple of more sort of New England IPAs and things like that. I reviewed a red rye New England IPA from them before, which was really interesting. It'd be cool to see how they get on doing the sort of straight up West Coast and New England IPAs, but I think they do have a knack for the dark beers like this. This one's really nice. It's one of the best porters you're going to find in Scotland, if not the best porter you're going to find in Scotland. I mean, Ghost Ship from Cromarty Brewing's good. The original Alice Porter from Brewdog was always a good beer as well. And there's various other ones that probably just aren't coming into my head at the moment. But a really, really solid beer, and a big thumbs up to Fierce Beer for this one. Mouthfeel then. It's at the lighter end of mid-bodied. It's somewhere between light and mid-bodied, to be fair. Carbonation's very smooth. The mouthfeel is kind of creamy to this one. I would say it's got a slightly creamy mouthfeel to it, this beer. I think they may well have added a bit of lactose or something to this, because it does have that kind of creamy note. That really helps bring out the vanilla flavours, to be quite honest with you. The malt base has a really good balance between some of the roasty bitter things, but it does have a good little bit of sweetness and kind of creaminess to balance that out a little bit. There's a little bit of a toasty black malt in there, which is nice. As I say, it really has that balance. The hops are nice and smooth. There's a little bit of an earthy bitterness there, and then you've just got a little touch of a red fruity note as well. But overall, really, really good beer, this one. As I say, one of the best porters, if not the best, that I think you're going to find in Scotland. There is an Imperial Cafe Racer, which you'll see me review in a few videos' time. So on the basis of that, or on the basis of this one, I'm really looking forward to that. So let's leave it at that for this beer. The way to summarise it: just a beautiful porter. There's not much else you can say about it. It's really, really well done. And as I say, Fierce Beer, I think, have got a knack for these kind of dark beers. So I look forward to trying more from them. And as always, I hope you've enjoyed my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual, my reviews, make sure you comment in the section below and let me know your own thoughts on this beer. Thank you again for watching. Check out my social media, and I will catch you guys very soon with more beer reviews. I do hope that I can review more from Fierce in the fairly near future. I will do the Imperial Cafe Racer, and I will make an effort to do some of the things from the lighter side of the spectrum, because I think on this brewery I've focused on the darker side of the spectrum more than anything else. But check them out. Really cool to see another very good Aberdeen craft brewery. So until the next time, Slange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Cafe Racer from Fierce Beers Company up in Dyce, just outside of Aberdeen in Scotland. Slange just now. Beautiful beer.